Hi, my name is Chakravarthy Kalva. I'm a product manager, and co-presenting here with me on this particular topic is Murthy Chandrapaty, who is a principal engineer, and we both work at Adobe. Today, at this hour, we're going to dive into the evolution of a really key piece of marketing tech called send-time optimization. So let's get going. For many years, we as marketers are totally obsessed with one question. And that question is, what is the absolute best time to send a message? Why is this important? This is important because marketers and brands think that there is a high probability of you opening a particular message or a notification at this so-called best time. But what if I told you that this is not enough, or this might not be entirely the right question to ask in today's scenario? Why? Because we are in a digital era where there is so much of noise and that is ever growing. And those important digital signals are just getting lost in this whole noise. So today we are going to dig into and see how this best time has to turn itself into a decision making system that can change the game, and you as marketer or brands, how you can evolve and talk to your customers in a better and a more efficient way. So for that, we really have to move out of the shoes of marketer and think as a consumer or a customer and understand the reality. And what is that reality? And the reality is basically there is a never ending flood of digital noise. How do we swim through this? I mean, think about it. Every single day, we as customers or consumers, our phones, our inboxes are buzzing with notifications, emails, text messages, you name it. It's basically a digital battlefield that companies, brands have created, and every single brand is fighting for that tiny slice of attention. And what if I told you that this is not enough? And this particular statement out here, you know, tells all about that. And it might sound a little weird, but this is the fact. We have to all face it. We have amazing tools. Every product, every customer have built these tools that tell you, hey, this is the perfect time to hit the send button. And they have nailed it to the minute. And yet we see customers or consumers like us are just tuning out. And this tuning out is not happening today. It's happening over a period of time, if you have noticed. So, what is really happening? And what are these consequences? Well, the consequences are pretty clear. As you can see here, right? We are in a digital era. We have so much that we have to face in terms of digital noise. Engagement rates, things like clicks and opens, have flatlined. Why? Because there is a wall that we have created between all of those digital noise that we only tend to open those important messages that we feel appropriate, and only then the clicks and the opens would go up. Why is it flatlining? Because of the digital noise. And all of those personalizations, as marketers, as brands, we put in those messages feel very mechanical and robotic. Why? Because we are not even opening those messages for most of the time. So all of those personalizations that has been implemented, that has been gaining so much of prominence over the years, all of that is going down the drain. Why? Because in the first place, we are missing the real human touch. So we got to focus on the who, because typically the focus all this while has been on the when, and we really forgot about the who, and the who being the customer or the consumer. So, how did we get here in the first place? Let's kind of pedal back, rewind for a minute, and look at the tool that was supposed to solve all of this for us. And for a while, it really was a complete game changer, right? We wanted those messages at the time when I am free, when I am sipping my coffee, but it has not been working. So let's see. The tool that was supposed to solve all of these problems for us was send time optimization, or STO for short. And the idea behind it was very simple. The plan was to use machine learning technology to scan all of our customer past behavior to predict the exact moment that we're most likely to open our next message. And the process here was very simple. We would analyze all the engagements, which is typically the opens and the click. You would train a model and feed this particular data so that it can spot patterns in your data and can spit out a personalized best time for every single person on your list. The whole goal was here very much laser focused on one thing, and that one thing was the absolute best time or the highest probability time of a open. And look, let's be fair. This worked wonders back in the days. And honestly, even today, some of the marketing tech has not evolved and we are following the same old trend. But hey, it worked wonders. Marketing was mostly just about batch and blast email campaigns, weekly newsletters. Well, in these scenarios, STO gave marketers a massive, massive advantage. But as we all know, the world is changing. The world has changed. There is so much digital knowledge. And the world looks very different. And this is where it all started breaking. And AI is probably the solution. But if we look back at the ML that predicted the send time optimization, sounds so very limited. So the biggest and the massive advantage that we got from ML suddenly started showing its weakness. And this code absolutely nails the problem. High probability does not equal high wisdom. Let's take an example. Let's say my ML or the prediction model tells me that 10:30 a.m. is the most probable time when I, as a customer sipping my coffee, would be opening my email. But imagine there's so many other emails, notifications coming in at the same time. So, as a brand, am I fighting with other brands? Of course, you are. Am I fighting with my own other campaigns? Yes, of course. In that particular context, sending a message, do you think is a wise thing to do? Mull upon it. You will know what it is. Let me give you a small example here. This whole predictive model is kind of a one-trick pony. It's really good at just one trick, but it does not answer the bigger, more important questions that are very pertinent in today's age and era of marketing. Questions like, should we even send this message in the first place? Or, hey, has this person already heard from us multiple times during the day? Does this message even make sense for where the customer is in their journey? All that crucial context is just gone, or the prediction model is not accounting for all of that. That is where AI comes into picture. That is where decisioning has to happen. And that is the game changer. Because why? There's so many scenarios. The context is lost. The world has changed. Marketing in this modern era isn't just about simple, linear campaigns anymore. It's a messy, a real time, cross channel conversation. And if you're only focused on timing, you're not having a conversation. You're just shouting into that void that we have created. And that brings us to this massive evolution. We are moving beyond the simple question of when to a deeper, much more prominent, much more smarter question. And that big shift from prediction to true AI decisioning is here. If companies and brands do not adopt it, they are just creating or adding to that particular digital noise. Okay, now this slide is everything and it sums it all. On one hand, we have got the old school STO. It just asks what time is the best. It's looking at one signal to optimize one metrics like open rate. But on the other hand, we have AI-based decisioning, and it's asking a totally different but a very smart question. What is the best action? From best time to best action is the evolution. And the best action to take right now is to send or to postpone or to cancel in the first place. It's using multiple signals. It is creating a context. It is becoming more probabilistic from deterministic. When there is probability or when there is decisioning, and when there is decisioning, there is AI. And AI, we all know, does a better job than the humans or the ML. And it is using these multiple signals to make a decision that optimizes the entire customer relationship. Don't you think this is a game changer? And we are entering into a different ball game altogether. I hope you all acknowledge that today. So, what are these signals? As I said, it is looking at, of course, your best prediction for the best time. Yes, that is a key ingredient, no doubt, but it's just one voice at a very crowded table. The AI is also considering things like where the customer is in the journey, how many messages we have sent to a particular customer in a given day or in a given week. What are our business rules? Are there quiet hours? Are there fatigue rules? It weighs in on all of these factors and it makes a decision, or it is giving us as marketers a choice. And that is where human come into the picture. Human as a service in AI, this is what exactly it means. And we have a choice to make. All right, let's see this in action because this is where it gets really cool. When I've got one customer, say one message, let's look at how each system would handle this exactly in the same scenario. First up, the classic prediction model. It crunches the numbers from the past, and it says, hey, probably 10:30 a.m. That's the time with the highest probability of an open. Send it. It's as simple as it is. It's data driven and completely blind about the context, but it still recommends. But now what the AI decisioning engine does, it gives that, of course, the 10:30 a.m. prediction. As I said, it is also a key ingredient, but it is also considering many other factors. So what are those factors? We just talked about it. Are there messages that were already sent? Are there fatigue rules? Are there quiet times? So the AI's decision, it says in this particular scenario, hold, don't send the message. And that right there is where AI starts to feel like less of a machine and more like a human with a lot of wisdom. Does it resonate with you? Yes, as a consumer, of course. And that one decision, the decision to not send a message, is an absolute game changer, as I said. And that is a fundamental shift away from chasing short term metrics towards building long term customer trust. That is where the whole business impact is. And this particular business impact is not just getting you the engagement that you are wanting for, but for brands, it lasts because you're not burning out your audiences. You get lower turn rates because you stop annoying people into unsubscribing. And most importantly, you build real trust by showing your customers that you respect their time and their inbox. And this is definitely a competitive edge that no open rate can ever buy. And so when you zoom out, you can really see the clear evolutionary path. We started with a very clunky manual thing, then we got smarter with ML based prediction, and now the smartest brands are moving into the future, which is AI based decisioning. This isn't just about better tech, it's the evolution of marketing itself from just blasting messages to intelligently orchestrating conversations. So I want to leave you with this final thought. For so long, we have been completely obsessed with finding the perfect time, but this shift forces us to ask a better question and more important question, are we creating the right movement? Because as we have just seen, the best time to send is totally meaningless if it's the wrong moment to engage. And with that said, I don't want to create any more noise. I would turn the mic to my colleague, Murthy Chandrapaty, to dive into the technical details and the nuances on the technical side of this whole journey. Thank you from my side.
Thanks, Chakravarthy. Hello, everyone. I am Murthy Chandrapaty, Principal Engineer at Adobe. Let me show you how this actually works in practice. I will walk through a live demo, then explain the architecture. Let me start with the core problem. Traditional ML systems output predictions like the user has 73% engagement likelihood or a campaign has 0.82 relevance score. That's a probability. It tells you what might happen. But here is the issue. A perfect prediction can still make the wrong decision. What if the user is fatigued? What if they already received 3 messages today? How do we solve this problem? What you're seeing here is the AI decisioning layer at the center. The system does not just predict, it decides. It considers multiple ML signals, business constraints like message limits, user state across campaigns, and a real-time context, then produces an action, like either to send, defer, or skip with reasoning. I will run through 5 scenarios that show how the systems make trade-off between business goals and user experiences. For this demo, we'll be using email as the channel to keep it simple, but the decisioning framework works identical for push, notifications, SMS, in-app messaging. Basically, it's channel-agnostic. Let's see this in action. 5 scenarios showing how AI agent balances business goals with user experiences. Let's dive right in. So fresh user 1, fresh user scenario that we're talking about, user 1, flash sale, and high engagement score, low fatigue or zero fatigue. So our agent made a decision to send the campaign, and the key factors in this decision are the high engagement score, low fatigue, and high urgency override. Let's look at another scenario. Same campaign, higher engagement score, but fatigue is very high. So look at the fatigue score 0.80. And our agent made a decision to defer this campaign. Here is a classic example of prediction or a perfect prediction is not equal to the right decision. Traditional systems are just a prediction system, a traditional prediction only system would definitely have send this message. AI agent is smart enough to make a decision and give you the reasoning. The fatigue score is 0.80 is a key factor here, as it indicates that the user might be overwhelmed with messages, even though engagement and urgency scores are favorable. Protecting the user experience is a priority. This is the classic example of how our agent. Let's go dive into the third scenario where user three, we're sending a newsletter, low urgency, fresh user. The decision made is to send. And the high engagement score and low fatigue levels overweigh the channel preference. The user is preferring a email channel of high, but it overweighs, and then the decision was made by our agent to just send it. Let's look at the fourth scenario, which is a product update where the urgency is high, the channel preferences are there. You see the newsletter one to compare this product update, the channel preference, and it actually sends how to send the respected contact email or channel, that preferred channel. The preferred channel is true for email, so we still send it. While the user is within the daily message limit, the high engagement and low fatigue across scores indicate that sending this message now would provide the best user experience. That's the reasoning. Let's look at the final scenario. Here we have our user 2, the fatigue user returning back again, and we're going to send the product update to him. So we're trying to send the product update. His fatigue score is still high, and the agent actually persisted the state across campaigns. The fatigue score is high, the key factor, and sending during a high fatigue score period risks annoying the user, and the decision is made to differ. So look at the final statistics where we see 60% were sent and 40% were deferred out of this, right? The system isn't maximizing sends, it's basically optimizing for relationships. So what we're talking about here is, this is what we mean by agentic AI, right? So it's not only just the scores, it's also preserving or balancing how a decision is made. How AI decides this, or how does we do this decision flow? Let's look at that. How did we build this? This is 3-layer architecture where the first layer is the ML prediction layer, where you can see here it uses the 4 models producing scores with confidence. The second layer is the AI decisioning layer. The agent that you just saw consumes those signals and reasons over constraints. And finally, the state manager, which tracks user histories and enforce limits. So 3 layers, 3 jobs: predict, decide, and protect. The 3 key takeaways here. The first one, ML output signals, AI makes the decision. A perfect score can still be leading to a wrong action. The second takeaway is the decision layer is a first-class system. It's not just business rules. It's an intelligent agent that reasons over multiple signals and constraints that we get from the output of the ML prediction. The third takeaway here is scale requires engineering. In production, this runs millions of decisions per day with sub 100 millisecond latency. It's a distributed system. It's a distributed system problem. State management across competing campaigns, real-time orchestration, production grade reliability are required. So one challenge we solved is the state contention. Multiple campaigns were competing for the same user, as we saw in the demo, at the same time. The decision layer arbitrates in real time, tracks how many messages each user received today, enforces limits, and prevents over. So to wrap it up, we shifted from when should we send to should we send at all. That required a new architecture layer that reasons, not just simply predicts. This is agentic AI in production. The demo code is on GitHub and the link is here. Happy to connect on LinkedIn. Thank you for attending our session. Thanks. Bye.